Hi, I'm Michelle from Michelle's Romantic Tangle, and we went thrifting at the coast. I was going to go outside and get some footage of the waves and show you just how close these shops are to the beach. But of course, I got caught up in what we were doing and didn't get that footage. This is the Habitat for Humanity in Newport, and it is not the first time I have found amazing vintage needlepoint in this store. Most of it is like construction, household stuff. But then in the front, they have a room full of framed art, and sitting there on the floor was this. I love this scene. It's not so much that I want to buy it as I want to have stitched something amazing like that. And right next to it was this. A couple of weeks ago at an estate sale, we were in a kitchen that had a big traditional picture of a sailing ship that got me thinking I wanted a sailing ship in my own kitchen. I don't know why, I can't explain. But that nighttime scene with the boats and the colors, which does not belong in a kitchen, I totally get that. But I want it. A lot of these are actual paintings, and as you go through the room, you can kind of get an idea of the newer ones, which ones were donated by the same artist. And then there are like that gorgeous tree scene. Would that be pastoral? That one is obviously more vintage. I think these fish here are new. I know nothing about art. Take this all with a grain of salt. Hanging on the wall behind another big framed piece was this one. Again, it is vintage needlepoint. I would bet that this came from the same house as the one I showed you a couple of clips earlier, and I love these both. I don't have a place to display them. I hope they go to someone who will love them as much as I do and put them on a wall. I love that still life with the reflections of the metal. Then we moved on to Goodwill and the Ashes of Obnoxious Teenagers. I wonder if my boys would have appreciated that one. This is my favorite find of the day. Look at that chicken's eyes. And God bless this home as much as possible. The price was too high, and it was super heavy, heavier than I would feel comfortable hanging on a wall. I would think it'd pull a nail loose, but I love the sentiment, and I love the look on that poor chicken's face. I don't see a lot of real stained glass in the thrift stores, and I don't know why. There's some things you pick it up and go, oh, I don't usually see this in a thrift store, and I don't know why. I'm not looking for stained glass. I'm definitely not looking for stained glass bunny. Please pretend that my camera is turned the right way in this shot because I wanted you to see the detail in this stitching. They are those cruel kits that I have a whole bunch of them. I do not have these two girls, but I have lots of other similar girls doing other things. I don't know what stitches these are, but the dimensional effect that they created is just amazing. And I love everything about these. But again, it's not so much that I want to buy the one in my hand right there. I want to stitch that myself. One really gorgeous vintage lamp hiding amongst all the modern throwaway stuff. And that's why I keep going back to the Goodwills, because now and then you will find that perfect piece of vintage. And no, it didn't come home with me. It's enough to just look at them and enjoy it. Kind of like this lamp if you had a nautical decor to put it in. Finding a shade for it might be a challenge. We visited two different Goodwills on the trip, and from the footage here, I can't tell which is which, especially since my phone is redating things and playing hide and seek with them in my computer files. So I suppose it doesn't matter to you which of this footage is Newport, Oregon, and which is Tillamook, Oregon. We did go to both of them. I found some really nice cross-stitch books and needlepoint books that there will be upcoming videos of those. And I found, I can't remember the author's name, the cross-stitch animals one I did a flip through of from a library book a while back. I found a perfect copy at the Goodwill for $4, so that one is now in my stash. And I will be able to stitch the sardines. Take a look at this little captain here. From his pose, I'm thinking that there is something more to him. Is he somehow a wine bottle holder or something? I talked, I think, in the last thrifting video about these little resin houses and how I keep getting tempted by them. And I had this one almost all the way open before I reminded myself it's the cabinet maker and undertaker, and I have taken it out of the package at other stores and convinced myself that I don't need it. I still don't need it, but it calls to me. And I keep finding them in the box. Did not look at the price because, like I said, I don't need little resin houses. I might want them, but I don't need them and don't have a great plan for them or place to put them. Not sure about the pear cookie jar with fruit painted on it. I can't picture the decor that room goes with. The room that would live in. More gravy boats than I've seen in one place in a while, although I've probably just looked past tons of them without noticing what they were because that's the way thrifting works. This was a pretty trivet, and I'm always folding up towels to keep from setting hot things on my kitchen counters. And yes, I have a bunch of trivets, but those are for finishing cross stitching. Those are not for using. I could use them while I cross stitch whatever's going to eventually go into them. These stores they're not very big Goodwills, and then they had just what felt like a ton of Christmas, and everything else was kind of crowded together. I get testy when the thrift stores pull out all their Christmas stuff and move the crafts and the things that I'm there to look for into other corners. Most of this, it's not fun vintage Christmas. It's newer stuff that people have bought and not hung on to for very long, and I'm not interested in that. I don't decorate for Christmas as it is, so for me to go thrifting for Christmas decor, it would have to be something along the lines of Evil Santa. Always looking at the plates and the different patterns, and I don't know why. What's the thing that you see at every single thrift store? For me, it is those carved coconut piggy banks and little statuettes. I see them absolutely everywhere and have for at least 3 or 4 years. But then there are other things that I see people say that they see in every single thrift store that I don't think I've ever seen one once. I am always hoping that I'll find a treasure in the crafts section, and there are Dimensions Gold collection kits out there to be found, but not on this trip. This was the usual crafty stuff that I think all of these stores pretty much have the same exact stuff in their crafts section. There are the wooden stamps and the scrapbooking stuff and the party decorations. But I keep looking because once in a blue moon you do hit the jackpot, and boy, that makes it worth it. They did in a corner have some tubes of Ada, and I brought home 3 of them, I think, for $1.60 each. I was hoping one might be big enough for a project I had planned that I didn't have measurements for. It is too small, but I'll use it again for something down the road. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Michelle from Michelle's Romantic Tangle, and I'll be back with you again soon. And let me know, do you go thrifting when you're traveling or stick to it when you're closer to home?